Welcome to the newest episode of the ricecrypto show. Today I am joined by Douglas Backham. He is the CEO and founder of BitBox hardware wallet. People in the cryptocurrency community are currently looking for hardware wallet alternatives due to the recent Ledger crypto news. You can learn all about the BitBox02 in today's interview. And be sure to watch all the way to the very end of today's video to find out how you can win one of 3 BitBox02 cryptocurrency wallets. Before we get into it, take time to visit my website at ricetvx.com. There you can sign up for my mailing list so you can stay up to date on all things Rice. Once you've signed up for my mailing list, you will find links for my channels and socials towards the top of the website. Make sure you are subscribed to both of my YouTube channels, Rice Against the Grain and Rice TVX. If you want to support my work directly, as well as get early access, exclusive content for both channels, plus more, join my Patreon. I will include links in the video description for everything I just mentioned, as well as everything shared on today's video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me on today's show is a first-time guest. I am joined by Douglas Backham. He is the CEO and founder of BitBox. Douglas, welcome to the show. How is it going?
Very good. Thanks a lot for having me, Rice.
Thank you. I really appreciate you accepting my invitation. And we were having a little bit of a conversation before we started recording. I met one of your employees, one of your coworkers, Roland. I thought it was at Consensus. It may have been at Bitcoin 22 in Miami last year, not the one that just took place a few weeks ago. But I had a really interesting conversation with Roland, and I got in touch with you guys a few months after the conference. You guys sent me BitBox, and you sent me some merch, which I really appreciate. You guys sent me a really cool hoodie, a little too warm for the hoodie right now. This is the hat. I don't really wear flat build hats, but I love the hat, and I'm going to keep it on display in my studio. I love the honey badger. I think it's perfect for Bitcoin. And obviously, with what's been going on with Ledger, the hardware wallet, a lot of people are looking for alternatives. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on the show. I wanted to learn more about you, the company, what BitBox is, how you as a company feel it's more superior than other cryptocurrency hardware wallets, and then kind of get your thoughts on this Ledger fiasco. Before we get too deep into things, Douglas, if you don't mind, could you introduce yourself, how and when you got involved in cryptocurrency?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I'm Douglas. So, original inventor of the BitBox01 hardware wallet. We're now on the BitBox02. Have a tech background, some degrees in mechanical engineering, some work in AI, robotics. And now I am the CEO of Shift Crypto, where we make the BitBox hardware wallet and BitBox app. How did I get into it? So let's see.
How and when?
How and when?
Because I'm thinking you've been in crypto for a little while.
So the first time I actually saw the word Bitcoin ever was in 2013. And I happened to be in Tokyo.
Okay.
And it was on the front page of a really well-respected Japanese newspaper in really, really big letters. And that surprised me. Like, okay, Bitcoin money? What is this? Like monopoly money stuff? And so I started researching it that night. And after my engineering degrees, I actually got a PhD in neuroscience. So I have a scientific background. And the thing that really caught my attention rather quickly was the idea of this unsolved scientific problem being solved, which is the Byzantine generals problem, or basically, how can you trust someone on the internet to send you money and not send the same money to someone else?
The double spend issue.
Problem. Yeah.
Okay.
So Bitcoin was basically the first protocol to solve that, and I thought, okay, I don't know if Bitcoin's going to work or not, but this sounds like, yeah, pretty important money on the internet. And so I started getting more and more involved and diving down the rabbit hole from that point on.
Well, you mentioned Bitcoin being the first cryptocurrency to solve the Byzantine problem. Were you actually looking at any cryptocurrencies or cryptography or cypherpunk ideals prior to the creation of Bitcoin?
No, good question, actually. I think most of that was pretty foreign to me at the time.
Okay.
And so it was like a purely academic interest. But then, of course, very, very soon when you enter the rabbit hole, you start to get exposed to these, what is money? The first time you learn about money, I guess, is for me in 2013.
Like what
And
you have
then,
money versus currency, or what we have today versus what we've had throughout history.
yeah, exactly. And so the whole history of money, how the modern day US dollar is really only about 50 years old, starting from when Nixon backed off the gold standard. So
1971.
the term fiat currency got invented, and how it's backed by faith, right? And so Bitcoin has a lot of arguments. Oh, what's it backed by? I mean, it's also backed by faith, but it's backed by probably a bit more concrete stuff than the actual US dollar.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things when it comes to the discussion of Bitcoin versus money versus currency. As far as what backs it, I mean, I guess people could look at Bitcoin as being a form of fiat, but it is backed by the energy, I guess, that does
Mm.
help to mine and produce the Bitcoin. But I would rather have something that was fiat that's not able to be manipulated or controlled than fiat that's able to be printed into existence and devalue the money that we currently have. So
Yeah, good point.
it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. But ironically, and not to get too philosophical and deep on this, but I got involved with crypto because I started seeing we don't necessarily need to have money, but
Mhm.
we need to evolve to that point. I mean, like we could have units of credit. There's a Star Trek kind of world. I know it's another conversation for another day. But what made you decide, and when and what made you decide to create the BitBox version 1?
Yeah. So again, having a technical background, I understood some of the security risks with holding Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general. And it took me probably about 2 weeks before I felt comfortable, um, like in a safe way, holding Bitcoin by myself. And so I made like an offline computer, put Electrum on it, all that stuff. And I was like, okay, if this is going to take off, there's no way that this is the way that this is what people have to do to actually be safe. And
Right.
so hardware wallets, I guess the concept existed uh, around that time, but nothing was on the market yet. Also, at that time, there was a lot of scams going on in terms of hardware with respect to mining equipment. And so there's, I think around that time, there was one of the bubbles starting to happen. And there's a big demand for mining equipment. There's a lot of scams where you have to pre-order mining equipment, and then the people coordinating the pre-order would just run away with the money. And
What
so
time frame are we talking about here?
that was when was that? Late 2013, I believe.
Okay.
2014.
Is that when you put out the version 1 BitBox?
No, so that's when decided to start working on a hardware wallet in my spare time. So
Okay.
I wasn't sure if a hardware wallet would come to existence, and so I just decided, like on my own, to make one. Just for myself, just as a hobby in my spare time. And I was living in Switzerland at the time, in Basel, and there's a really strong Bitcoin community in Switzerland, even back then, including a lot of the core maintainers lived in Switzerland. And so one of them happened to live in the same town as me in Basel. And so Jonas Schnelli, and then I showed him the device, and yeah, he liked it a lot. And we decided to make a company out of it and try to bring it to other people.
I'm sorry, I was trying to unmute myself there. Now, I think that's a really cool idea that you did that. And what made you guys decide to expand the original idea from version 1? I don't know if you guys call it version 1, version 2, or just 01, 02. but going from BitBox01 to BitBox02, what was the reason for that, and what were the improvements that you guys made?
So the BitBox01, it's now retired. And so I think it was a good wallet, but it had a big drawback, which was it didn't have an onboard screen, actually. And so how we got around that was making a secure connection to an app on your smartphone that we basically said would be a secure remote display. But there's a lot of pitfalls in doing that, a lot of potential vulnerabilities. And it was just a lot simpler to put a screen onto the device itself. And so we started working on the BitBox02 with that in mind. We tried to keep all the lessons learned from the BitBox01 development, all the customer feedback, what people like, try to keep that in the BitBox02, including being very discreet, including a direct USB connection into your computer, or BitBox02 fits into the Android phone now also. And revamp the security model and really boost the security. We think we're quite proud of what we came out with. We think it's maybe the strongest security model on the market. And of course, grow the team a bit and try to focus a lot on usability also. We think usability is one of the most important factors. And it's the whole reason I wanted to get into this space anyways, to give a device that, basically could empower other people to join in the space, equip them with the tools they need that they can participate in a secure way, in a safe way, an easy way.
Which, I mean, I appreciate, because I mean, when I first got involved in crypto, like early 2017, it was pretty much Trezors, ledgers, and Keep Key, I think, was the only three that were out that I really knew about. There was some cold wallet solutions like OpenDime, which I thought was really cool. I still think they're very cool, but they are kind of, I understand why some people are kind of taken off by the way that they're designed. But I did want to get into like all the specifics about what you feel makes BitBox more superior in other cryptocurrencies. But when you first created version 1, since I'm kind of late to the game here is what you guys have created, was it specifically and only a Bitcoin wallet, or was it multiple coin wallet? Because I know that you've expanded to a multi-coin wallet, and you have a Bitcoin only version for the 02.
Yeah.
But was the 01 specific to Bitcoin?
So my co-founder wished it was. He'd tell me every day, make it Bitcoin only, but no, it was actually a multi-coin support. And so we had a small team, so it wasn't a lot of coins, but Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin.
And I do want to let people know that I will have an affiliate link down in the video description and the pinned comment. So if you guys would like to purchase your own BitBox02, I definitely encourage you to do so. And if you use my affiliate link, it would be a way that you can support my channels, and it would be greatly appreciated. So keep that in mind, because I know a lot of people are looking for alternatives to the ledger. I got my BitBox02. I haven't done the unboxing video, so I haven't really opened up a lot of what you sent me yet, because I really want to make sure I'm saving it for the unboxing, which I'm going to do here in the next day or two. I was really impressed with everything that you guys sent. Backup cards. There was the tamper evidence bag, which was really cool, because that would be a way that you can store it and know that nobody's really messing with your items. The backup cards, are these specifically just cards to write down your seed phrase on?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Those are made on archival paper, and so it shouldn't degrade over time.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because I've noticed a lot of people are putting out like metals, like ways of using metal fire-resistant things for your stamping your seed phrase onto something, so that way you can secure it. But I like the idea of what you're saying there too. Another thing that I liked, I mean, I don't know if this is just because it was sent to me, but I got a thank you card with my order, which I thought was really cool. I mean, I don't see this kind of personalization happening. I appreciate it. I thought it was really nice. It's like a little signed letter, very, very professional. You guys also included some, I'm not sure what people call these, but camera covers.
Camera covers, yeah.
Okay.
For privacy.
So yeah, I mean, and like I said, the shirt, I mean, the the sweatshirt and the awesome hat, and then the device itself, which the device in and of itself, I mean, looking at everything without opening it, it's got some pretty interesting things. And this is where I wanted to kind of get like into what separates BitBox. So let me go full screen so everybody can see this real quick. So that's everything in the box. And there's the device, there is an SD card, it looks like, there's some cords and some other things in there. So
some adapters,
the SD card thing I thought was an interesting concept. So let me pull back up the website, and basically, so there is something here that talks about the difference of the BitBox, the Bitcoin only edition. So I'm assuming your partner is what we would refer to as a Bitcoin maximalist.
Yeah, I guess that's correct.
Okay, I consider myself
he's now advising. He's not officially in the company actively.
Well, and I don't have a problem with somebody who has a maximalist point of view. I tend to be more of what I call a crypto minimalist.
Yeah.
I got that from Tone Vase, who used to be kind of a maxi. And I definitely don't feel like we need all the cryptocurrencies that we have. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of scams, but I don't feel like Bitcoin in and of itself is able to do the job.
Yeah.
I know it's another conversation, but I feel like Bitcoin has been limited and throttled on purpose, which I feel like Bitcoin needs to scale for it to be able to truly be what was stated in the white paper. But that, again, as another discussion.
It's a long conversation.
Yeah. I'm sure you and your partner have that discussion quite often.
So
okay.
I mean, well, we're Swiss, so Swiss is supposed to be neutral. And
well, they chose sides now, didn't they? I think for the first time in history, Switzerland is no longer neutral. I think they've sided. If we're talking about what's happening in Europe currently with that proxy situation, I believe.
No, I think they're still officially neutral. They're not allowing any equipment to be
okay.
Moved. So,
and I totally didn't mean for anything political to get into this at all. This was just supposed to be specifically about your awesome hardware wallet. So I will make sure I get us back on track and get out of the politics.
Yeah.
So,
and so, yeah, I was just going to add. So actually, when speaking about Bitcoin only versus the multi edition, when we came out with the BitBox02, it was actually originally only a multi version. And then we had a quite large beta program. And one of the questions we asked was, would you be interested in addition or instead of a BitBox only version? And the results of that was about 50% of the people said they'd buy a BitBox only or buy a BitBox only in addition. And interesting thing is, if you look at our sales statistics since then, and so we decided to make a Bitcoin only version. Yeah, it's matched that. So it's been pretty consistently a 50-50 split in sales between the two devices.
That's interesting. I would have thought that the multi-coin wallet would have actually sold better than the Bitcoin specific. Because I mean, with the multi-coin, you can still store Bitcoin.
Yep.
So
store Bitcoin and some others. Yeah.
Right. So you're limiting yourself in a sense with unless you are one of these individuals who doesn't believe that there is any other cryptocurrency that exists aside from Bitcoin.
Yeah. I guess
and then I can understand it.
The theory here is like one security concept is the less code you have, the more secure it is, because there's less avenues where something could go wrong. And so if you're adding different cryptocurrencies that have different crypto primitives, different algorithms, different protocols, then you're theoretically adding additional chances for some kind of malware to attack vectors. You're increasing the attack vector space. And so that's a reason why I think people who are really maybe Bitcoin maxis, but also people really concerned about security choose the Bitcoin only.
Okay. I get that. That makes sense because the less code and less things that you have, the less vulnerability, attack vectors, bugs, those kind of things. So yeah, that makes sense. I'm not a techie kind of person, but hearing it explained the way you said it, it definitely makes sense. And I'm trying to get better at understanding some of the tech stuff without getting too deep into it at the same time. Can we talk about some of the features about BitBox that you feel like separates what BitBox is, what as a hardware wallet, cryptocurrency wallet, what separates it from other wallets, the SD card, all the different features, and I'll be sharing some information here on the screen as well with the screen share.
Yeah, happy to. So I think there's two main categories. One is security, the security model, which I referred to before, and the other is usability. Yeah, you can see some Trustpilot reviews up there where we get really excellent reviews. One thing we're really proud of in terms of starting with usability is a lot of the feedback we get is that this is the hardware wallet I would give to my parents, or this is the hardware wallet I give to my partner, my wife. And so we're quite happy about that. In Miami, just a little side note, I was at the conference in Miami a few weeks ago, and there was a hardware wallet panel. And the moderator, he asked the audience, how many people here have a hardware wallet? Almost everyone raised their hand. That was nice to see. And then he asked how many people are happy with their hardware wallet, with their user experience. And people started booing. A lot of people started booing.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and that surprised me a little bit because the feedback we get is overwhelmingly positive about the user experience, and I think other hardware wallet companies or security people in general, they always like to say there's a trade-off between security and usability. Can't have one without the other. I think that's completely false. I think the job of a hardware wallet company is to remove this false dichotomy, make something that's both secure and easy. And I think that's definitely possible.
Well, and it looks like you've been able to do that. And that's what I think is really cool. That's why I'm looking forward to like being able to actually utilize this thing. That's why I wanted to get the interview done so I can like start because I really felt I needed to keep everything intact before I do this unboxing. I like to make the unboxings, real proper. And if I'm opening it up and looking at it and doing all these things before, it's not a real natural process. And I wanted to kind of keep it at that.
And so maybe quickly to touch on 2 points for the usability. One is the micro SD card, which you mentioned before. And so just during setup with a BitBox is extremely fast. It can be done in a minute or so. And with with basically every hardware wallet or software wallet, when you do a setup process, you usually have to write down this mnemonic word list, these 12 or 24 words, onto a piece of paper as part of the backup process, and then re-enter it to make sure you didn't do it wrong.
Or re-enter certain ones like in a sequence.
Yeah.
But just to confirm that you've written it down. Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of people, both new users and expert users, they have a lot of stress. We call it mnemonic anxiety, where it takes a long time, especially new users don't understand what's going on. You have to be really, really careful, really, really stressful. If you make one spelling error, one word error, you could be locked out of your funds. And so it is a quite important thing. And so it can take 20 to 30 minutes on other hardware wallets to do this whole process. But with us, what we do is the exact equivalent word list is automatically saved onto the micro SD card. And so the concept of a backup, people understand. And that can happen under the hood in a safe way in a minute, basically, for the whole setup.
Does the chip have to remain inside of the BitBox02 to be able to be usable?
Nope. Yeah, so that's a common misunderstanding. So the point is it's only needed during setup. And then the idea is you take it out and you put it somewhere safe. If you have a lot of coins, maybe make multiple backups and put them in different locations.
That is cool. So it's literally just a backup on an SD card.
Yep.
And it's only, and you're saying the only time you really need it is when you're initially setting up the device.
Yeah, or disaster scenario where you need to recover.
And in that situation, would you just would you just put it into a computer that just takes a SD card, or how would you do that?
For recovery?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can put it, if you lose your BitBox, for example, you need to recover, you can buy another BitBox and you can reload your wallet from there. That's probably the safest way. You can put it into a computer, and then we have a little backup tool that will guide you through the process of recovering it into a different wallet. Of course, if you put the card into your computer, which you should never do if you don't have to.
That's why I was mentioning it.
Yeah. Then, or if you lose your BitBox, we suggest once you recover to create a new wallet and send it to a new wallet that you know has never touched someone else's fingers or never touched the internet.
Okay, so now if I lost my BitBox and I have my SD card and I get a new BitBox and I put the SD card into the new BitBox, will it automatically load up my wallet? Or is there some kind of process that I got to do in addition to it?
Yeah, so during the setup phase, it'll ask you if you want to create a new wallet or recover from a backup. So just
and then when normally recovering from a backup, you have to physically put in your seed phrase to do that. But in this instance, you wouldn't. You would just put your SD card in.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. Very cool. No, I like that because it keeps it.
If you're coming, sorry to interrupt. If you're coming from a different wallet, you could also enter your seed phrase directly into the BitBox and recover it that way too.
From a completely different wallet that was not BitBox related.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or BitBox also. We offer an option to display the words to write them down on a piece of paper too.
What made you decide to do this as a device with was this this is USB-C, right?
Yeah.
So it plugs into like a phone, it plugs into a computer. What made you decide to create it in this manner? Because when you see most hardware wallets, you're not seeing anything like this. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Trezor meets just the way it looks. A Trezor meets like an open dime.
Yeah. So we thought for a lot of people, just having a single piece is easier, and so directly plugging into your computer. I think directly plugging into a phone, it works on Android phones, is a quite nice experience. And so the full app exists on Android, the full app that you'd see on desktop also. Okay. And it's just a really convenient, easy experience. And we decided to go for USB-C, of course, for modern computers, modern phones, they all have USB-C. And another thing people really appreciate is that, it's discrete. And so it looks a little bit like just a simple flash drive. Of course, it's a lot more complicated than that. It's a little miniature computer.
No, I like, and I was going to mention that. I like that because I think that when you have something that looks like it's special, it kind of brings attention to it. And like a ledger, and it just doesn't. Even the Trezors, I mean, the shape of it, it's odd. So having something that would blend in with just normal everyday things, I think is another form of security.
Yeah. And so when it's unpowered, you can't see the screen. The screen will light up when you plug it in. And also, we didn't mention, but there's no physical buttons on the device, but there's touch buttons on the sides. 2 rows of invisible touch buttons that you can use for touch or slide. And you can't see them.
I'm realizing that now, Douglas. I'm trying to look for the invisible. Yeah, you can't look for things that are invisible, Chris.
Yeah. So I think that's it's a quite novel UX, quite novel design. Not really sure if there's anything else like that exists.
No, I haven't seen anything like this, and that's why, again, I'm so glad that we were able to schedule this thing like we did, because I really want to start using it. I want to get. I don't want to use ledgers anymore. I'm just done with Ledger. I can't trust Ledger. And I do want to get into Ledger. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention as far as security and superiority that you feel that BitBox02 has?
Yeah, I'll try to go over that quickly. But one last comment on the touch. And so, it's very novel. So some people takes a little bit of time to figure out exactly what to do, but it's pretty quick to figure it out. And once you figure it out, it's actually quite, a lot of people say it's fun. I think it's a lot faster way to interact with the device. So you can do things functionally faster also.
Very cool.
And so
I'm really looking forward to using it.
Good. We're looking forward to hearing what you think. And so, quickly on security. So we have what we call a best of both worlds approach. And we have a blog article at the top of this page. There's a link to it that talks about that. And by best of both worlds, it means we took what Trezor does well and we took what Ledger does well, and we combined it into a way that I think is superior to both. And so Trezor, starting with Trezor, they have open source code, which we think is absolutely crucial to security products, especially in the Bitcoin space, where the crypto space, where don't trust, verify, and so you can't verify closed source code. And so we think, especially with crypto, where gone is gone, it's so easy to have getaway cars in cryptocurrencies. It's so easy to do rug pulls and get away with it, that we really think that open source is crucial. Not only for people looking at the code and finding vulnerabilities. We have a bug bounty program, by the way. Happy if people contribute, but also because we think it's makes us accountable to the community.
The bug bounty information is at the bottom of the website as well for people that are interested, because I did want to share that kind of stuff. You guys have a lot of good information at the bottom of the website.
And so, it really keeps you accountable. People can see what you're doing, and it's apparent. And that's also, security internally. And so the problem with Trezor, though, is they're running their code on a general purpose microcontroller, which is not designed for physical attacks, basically. And so if someone steals a Trezor, and you've seen in the news recently and a year ago and the year before that, and so on and so on.
Well, the one recent apparently was from a year ago. And if somebody physically has your device, and they have to have certain kind of like software on a computer, and I think like maybe 20 to 30 minutes, they would be able to hack your Trezor. That's the way I understood it. They had to physically have it, and they had to have specific software to be able to break through however they're breaking the encryption.
Yeah, that may be right. And then there's also mechanisms where you can use some physical tools, for example, lasers and things like that, to actually crack into the secrets, or even actually physically read the bits off of the microcontroller. And so your secrets are on there. So if someone can physically read the bits, they're going to get your secret. That's why they say, you need a strong passphrase in order to.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's also why physical theft's not part of their security model. And so we think with hardware wallets, physical theft should be part of the security model. And so Ledger, now they have a secure element, which is a specialized microcontroller with physical protections in place to prevent or to try to prevent this physical theft. So someone actually using a laser to read off bits. That's great. The problem, though, is it's closed source. And the problem there is a lot of these chips. So Ledger is running their code on the secure element. The secure element manufacturers have NDAs, which basically prevents people from publishing the code that's being run on it. And the problem with this is that the NDA, these chips are usually certified, and the certification process can take a year of time, can take $1 million to finish, which incentivizes these manufacturers to not fix bugs. Because oftentimes the crypto is in hardware. And so if there's a bug, and there's always bugs, they'd have to do a redesign of the chip. So that's another year to market, another $1 million or so out the drain in order to redo the certification process. That's why there's NDAs. Because they want to hide bugs and the bugs that exist. And I think, again, when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies where gone is gone, to me, that's unacceptable from a security point of view. You need a bit higher level security.
No, I agree. But that's not something I was really aware of. Why do you think they're doing it to allow for exploits?
Of course, they don't want to allow for exploits. They want to avoid that.
But if you have vulnerabilities and bugs,
sorry?
If you have vulnerability and bugs, you'd think that you'd want to fix that so that you wouldn't have vulnerability and bugs.
Yeah. So, I mean, traditionally, these chips were made for the banking industry, like ATM cards, credit cards, things like that. And, you have social mechanisms to kind of prevent serious issues in terms of chargebacks on credit cards, reversing transactions in the fiat world. But again, when it comes to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, that doesn't exist. And so you need a different level of security.
Yeah, no, and I'm learning that now. It's kind of it's really recalling the conversation that I had with Roland, and I on my end, I really wish I would have contacted Roland sooner, because it was like, I'm listening to you is like really reminding me of the conversation that I had, which made me realize then, before the problems that came out with Ledger, that I maybe should be looking at some alternatives. And for whatever reason, because I didn't see a problem with Ledger, didn't think about it, I just let it go by the wayside. And you know, again, hearing what you're saying, I think it's really important that people know about some of the vulnerabilities and things that they're getting into when they're buying a cryptocurrency wallet. Because if you are putting a lot of money and your wealth into cryptocurrency, and you put it on a hardware wallet thinking that you're securing it, and then you go to look at your wallet one day and you have no funds, it's going to be detrimental. Person's probably not going to want to have anything to do with cryptocurrency again, a lot of different things. So I was kind of wondering things like that myself. Like Ledger, I believe, I think it was in 2020, went to the World Economic Forum and spoke at Davos, and were talking about how they felt very privileged to be there. And I'm sure that some people feel like that is a privilege, but I don't necessarily agree with the World Economic Forum's views. And it made me question Ledger. But it's not something that's talked about regularly. So I forgot about it. And then I was reminded of it when the recent statements came out with Ledger, with what they were doing with their firmware and this opt-in of being able to recover your private keys that apparently they may have access to as well. And, you know, that was one thing that Roland, I believe, was talking with me about. Was, see, I didn't know that part of the code of Ledger was closed source. I thought everything in crypto for the most part was open source, because it seems to be a very open source ethos kind of environment. And when you think about it, you don't know, like, they could have had exploits in this already. I mean, they could have already had a way to be able to get people's information and private keys potentially, and we wouldn't have known that because of the fact that I don't know if all the code was closed source. Now I know they're apparently now going to be opening up some of the code to public, but I don't think they're going to be opening up all the code. Do you have any knowledge on that?
I'm not sure what their plan is. They did announce that they'd have a roadmap to open sourcing some things.
Some things, yeah.
But I do know that I think there are good people at Ledger. I think they do have good intentions for and a strong security team. But the thing is, they would like to open source their code. They've said that in the past, but they just can't because of these NDAs. And so that's an issue. So they do open source as much as they can, but they can't open source some of the actual critical, mission critical code that has to do with the cryptocurrency part.
But you guys, on your end though, from BitBox, everything that you guys do for your code is completely open source? Yeah.
So it's all on GitHub. You can check it out. And when I was saying best of both worlds, so we run all of the mission critical stuff on a microcontroller, just like Trezor. So it's all open source. It's all really well vetted standard cryptographic libraries. But we do also have a second chip, a secure element, that we use purely for device hardening. And so that's hardening access to open up your wallet when you're logging in. Has a bunch of brute force prevention mechanisms, a lot of things. You can read about it on our blog. And it also helps mitigate against physical theft.
I was trying to find that article you were talking about on the blog section. And I do you know how long ago it was written?
It was a while ago. Okay. So BitBox02 has been out for about 2.5 years. So we wrote it around the one. I think if you do a search for best of both worlds.
Is there, I wasn't sure if there was a search I didn't see like anything that would allow for me to type in a search.
Or no, if you just do like Control F for Open Apple F.
Control F.
For
and
best of.
Best of both.
There it is.
Where there it is. There it is. Okay, and I'll make sure I include this in the this specific blog inside the video description as well.
That's a picture of Roland, the author of this article, also known as Staticus.
Staticus. All right, there we are. There you are, Roland. We got Roland on here. Roland's part of the interview now. Thanks, Roland. I appreciate you like explaining everything to me and hooking me up. Okay, so I will be sharing this
people
article.
Can read more there.
So this pretty much will be covering most everything that people want to know about the chip and all the open sourceness.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we also have the security page. You were scrolling on that earlier with a lot of details in addition to this. And we also think it's important to publish what we call a threat model, which is basically all the different types of threats that you could be at risk for and what's covered and what we can't cover. For example, if you lose your device, you lose your backup, we can't help you recover, things like that.
Right, because the way that you guys have it set up, you don't have any way of being able to get that information. So that's where you have to be responsible with what you're doing with the setup.
Yeah.
Which I really appreciate. So yeah, and I like the fact that you guys have this threat model, overview, summary, threat model, out of scope, attack vectors, and countermeasures, which would include device attacks, computer attacks, services attacks, supply chain attacks, and user attacks. And these are a lot of things that I just wouldn't even have thought about at all. So and I can't say that other wallets don't do this, but I can't say that I've seen it. I think like I haven't seen by any means like someone putting out a disclaimer in a sense of their product saying that these are the threats that could potentially happen and this is what you need to do to try to prevent it.
Yeah, and so this was actually when we were making the BitBox02. Of course, we have internal experts, but then we also worked with 3 external companies to, I guess, brainstorm the actual design of the security model and vet what we actually did in the end. And the threat model is one of the very first things in that process to come up with, is try to figure out what are all the different types of threats, and then try to figure out a security model we can implement that can address as many as possible.
I love it, man. I love it. I'm really looking forward to getting everything set up. I like the professional packaging and I like the simplicity of what you guys have here with the SD card and the device itself. I mean, you're looking at, it's not very big. So, you know, and again, I like the fact that this is very inconspicuous because I have a lot of USB sticks, memory sticks, or whatever people want to call them. So just, you know, I feel like I got to hide like something like a ledger. This, I feel like I can just put it in the open because it's just going to camouflage in with everyday normal things, which I think, again, I don't know if that was the intention when you created it or if it was just one of the byproducts of the creation, but I think it's genius.
Yeah, that was intended actually to be discreet.
Sweet. I like your creations, man. So was the original BitBox the same kind of look, different USB? Obviously, it wasn't a USB-C.
Yeah, it was also.
Is it on the website?
Very discreet. Yeah, I think at the bottom of the website you just find a link to BitBox01.
Yeah, let me check that out because I'm just curious what the difference was. How many, now you designed the first one all by yourself. How many people helped to contribute with the design of the BitBox02?
Oh boy. So, I mean, the first one also, of course, I had feedback from people, but it was really me kind of pushing it and making decisions. And the second one, I mean, the whole company plus 3 other companies. But nice. I mean, probably there's a core team of 4 or 5 people internally. And then, of course, always interacting with a couple other external consultants.
I'm not sure if there's a link for the original BitBox one here or not. Doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. There's BitBox app, the base, care, card, Steel wallet. It's cool. It's cool. I was just curious. Was it a square design though, like this?
Yeah, it was square. It had a little bit more style, kind of going up a little bit like that with an LED light, an LED indicator on it. So it had a single touch button on top that you could push.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you guys opt to get rid of that for kind of camouflage purposes?
That was also very discreet. But yeah, moved on. It didn't have a display. That was the big thing towards retiring it.
The last question I'm going to ask you here is obviously it's got easy backup and restore, supports Bitcoin, Litecoin, Cardano, Ethereum, Chainlink, basic attention token, and pretty much aside from, well, Cardano is not an ERC20, but all the rest I believe are. Is Cardano the only non-ERC, non-UTXO coin that you support?
We also support all the EVM networks. So like Binance Coin and all those others.
Optimism is a second layer solution. So something like Polkadot.
I think Polkadot's its own chain.
It is. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
are you guys planning on adding any additional cryptocurrencies in the future, or is this what you're going to be sticking with?
Yeah, we're always looking into it. Not in the near future, but that's something as we grow, that'd be something of interest. And so, of course, we're always happy with feedback from the community if there's specific coins that people think should be on the device. That said, I think with the tokens and the coins we have right now, we cover quite a large percentage of the existing market cap. But of course, there's a few main coins that are missing.
Well, I guess one that I would not that I'm a supporter of, but there are a lot of owners of. XRP doesn't look like it would be supported.
Yeah.
Do you know? Is it? I'm not
XRP
an
is not
XRP.
supported.
Okay, cool. Well, I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. I'm not a big fan of banker coins, so
yeah,
it's good to know that there's some
questions
values.
about XRP.
Yeah, they're another World Economic Forum partner too. So yeah, I think Brad Garlinghouse is actually on the board of the World Economic Forum.
Interesting.
Pretty bizarre things, man. Pretty bizarre. Well, I definitely, like I said, I'm going to be doing a follow-up, kind of doing an unboxing and explaining the setup. Obviously, it looks like it's going to be really simple, and just really encouraging people to check out the device, after I'm using it a little bit more too and have a little bit more experience. All the reviews that I've read and people that I know that own a BitBox have given it really good reviews and told me really good things. So I'm looking forward to using it. I would encourage people, if you guys are looking for an alternative, if you're looking for a different hardware wallet, whether it's specific to Bitcoin or the other tokens that you can hold on the two different versions, be sure to use my affiliate link. I will have that in the video description, and I'll also put it in the pinned comment of this video. I will, at the beginning of the video, I'm going to be mentioning about a giveaway that we're going to be doing. We're going to be giving away 3 different BitBox devices, BitBox02s. I will explain how you guys can win that. And it'll be 3 different ways. I'll do one for private members, I'll do one for the public YouTube, and I'll do one probably on social media for Twitter. So all that will be explained at the very beginning of the video. And I definitely encourage you to support the channel by using my affiliate link if you guys are going to buy one of these BitBox02s. Now, Douglas, before we wrap up, did you have anything else that you wanted to add? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, no, I guess we could talk for a long time, but this may be a good point to wrap up. I would say, though, to highlight one new feature we've added, which might be interesting to your audience. So a lot of people we talk to, we're really targeting new people to this space, and a lot of people are just curious how to get involved. And so we recently added some options inside the app to buy cryptocurrencies, buy Bitcoin. And one we're really proud about is we have a partnership with another Swiss company called Pocket Bitcoin, where inside of our app itself, you can buy Bitcoin in a KYC minimal way. So basically, for 1,000 francs, it's about $1,000 a day, you can buy Bitcoin with limited KYC. All you need is
like a phone number or an email?
No, you just need a European bank account number.
Okay. You can't do it with a US bank.
It doesn't work with US banks, but for example, Revolut, you could sign up for Revolut and you can get a European bank account quite easily. People in the US also.
Nice to know.
And then, yeah, you just send money from your bank account. So they know your bank account number anyways. And then you get Bitcoin. And that's it. No selfies, no IDs, no nothing else.
I like it. I like it. I didn't know that Americans could use applications to get European bank accounts. Good information to know. I'm glad that we talked, my friend. I'm going to have a link for the Twitter account, which is at BitBox Swiss. You guys recently did a rebrand from the Shift Crypto to straight using BitBox.Swiss. Yeah. I guess there was like some confusion.
Yeah, a lot of confusion. So Shift Crypto is our company name. It's still our company name. But, you know, having a company name and then a different name for your product was very confusing for people. There's also shiftcrypto.ch. CH is the country abbreviation for Switzerland. But a lot of people thought, oh, it's a Chinese Bitcoin company or a Chinese hardware wallet company for CH.
Why is CH the code for Switzerland? That makes no sense. Is there something to that I don't understand?
Yeah, it's the Confederation Helvetia.
Oh, that makes sense. But I can get why people would think it was something to do with China.
Yeah,
which makes sense too. So, and I also have your YouTube channel that people can check out because it looks like there's a lot of good videos to help people out in case they need some like tutorial stuff. And then at the very, very bottom of BitBox.Swiss, you'll find all kinds of links for different socials. You'll find the GitHub, Facebook, all this good stuff that you see here, in addition to product links, partner links, and policies, and information about the company if you guys want to learn more. So, Douglas, I really appreciate your time, man. I like to, after I have a chance to utilize the device and stuff and get some more feedback from other people, I'd like to, you know, potentially be able to bring you back on.
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
So the last thing I want to remind people is, you know, again, if you guys are interested in purchasing a BitBox02, I would appreciate it if you use my affiliate link because it is a way that you can support the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. Aside from that, I'm going to have links down below for everything we talked about on today's show. I definitely encourage you, as always, to make sure that you are doing your own research. Make sure you subscribe here at Rice TVX, as well as my other channel, Rice Against the Grain. And before we wrap things up, I want to leave you with this. I encourage you, as always, to be a blessing to others. Treat people how you want to be treated. Be the glitch that you want to see in the matrix. Be the change that you want to see in the world. And until next time, practice change. Thank you for watching all the way until the end of today's video. So obviously you would like to know, how do you win one of these BitBox02 cryptocurrency hardware wallets? Well, I've partnered up with BitBox to do a giveaway for 3 separate devices to 3 separate winners. That means 3 separate people will all win one BitBox02 cryptocurrency hardware wallet. And there's 3 ways that you can enter. The first way is closed to the public. It's only available for current private members and patrons. The second way is I will be doing a giveaway on Twitter, and I will have a link down below in the video description and the pinned comment, so make sure you're following me on Twitter. And the third and final way is for YouTube. So make sure, if you would like to win one of these BitBox02 cryptocurrency hardware wallets, that you are subscribed here at Rice TVX, and also comment on this video below and let me know why you would like to own one of these BitBox02 cryptocurrency hardware wallets. You got to be subscribed, and you got to comment why you want to own one of these devices. Thank you for tuning in for today's video.